All right, just checklist of things in today's deck. We've got Aether Vial. We've got Patron Wizard? Plagon? All right. Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU, here for another Legacy video, and we've got kind of a wild one today. This is a rather different take on an established archetype. So, Paradigm Shift is a card that you can play to enable a combo with Thassa's Oracle. You exile all your cards from your library, and then you shuffle your graveyard into your library. Often meaning you end up with 0 or close to 0 cards in your deck, allowing you to just win the game with Thassa's Oracle's trigger ability. And this is sometimes more work than just doing something like a Doomsday, and I don't know, certainly more work than paying 4 black mana and just winning the game on the spot, but it's kind of neat. And normally, this is played alongside Thought Lash. And Thought Lash gives you the secondary way to go and exile your library. And you can play, I believe it's Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, or Laboratory Maniac as another way to kind of win the game from here once you have emptied your library. But this version of the deck is not doing that. Instead, this deck is trying to play a reasonable game of Magic until you find Paradigm Shift. And I don't know how I feel about that, but it is certainly interesting. So this is going to be a control deck softly built around Patron Wizard. You get to tap an untapped wizard you control to force spike a spell. And a lot of these wizards are incidentally going to have more toughness than power. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Meaning that you can draw a ton of cards. If you draw a ton of cards, that's a ton of wizards. The wizards start turning into counterspells, and you can soft lock your opponent out of the game until you can win with Thassa's Oracle. Or I guess it's technically possible for you to win via combat damage, but it feels tough. Like these wizards don't really have evasion or anything. They can start doing some beatdown later on, though. The 2 wizards you're probably not familiar with are Sidisi's Faithful, which when it exploits a creature, you return target creature to its owner's hand. This is not impressive, but keep in mind that it is kind of like a 4/4 creature for 1 mana. Kind of. But this is supposed to work in conjunction with Sinister Concierge. When it dies, you can exile it and put up to 3 time counters on it. If you do, exile up to 1 target creature and put 3 time counters on it. Each card exiled this way that doesn't have Suspend gains Suspend. So you can use this to exploit this, and then you take out some opposing creature for a little while, and this ultimately does end up coming back. I don't know how I feel about this deck. It is intriguing. I think there's some non-bows in the deck building. For example, Cavern of Souls is a land that does not cast Brainstorm. There's Brainstorm to shuffle, but like there's 4 fetch lands in the deck. This deck is something that requires not double pips, but triple pips of blue and is also playing Wasteland. So, like, there's some questionable choices here. I think this came from a 5-0 deck list dump, so it is theoretically capable of winning some games, and we'll see whether I'm right about sort of my gut check evaluation of what's going on here, or whether there's actually something special going on with this deck. I don't have much to say about the sideboard. I'm just going to highlight Unable to Scream in case you're not familiar with this one, though. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a toy with base power and toughness 0/2 in addition to its other types. As long as it is face down, it can't be turned face up. There's a couple of removal spells like this that I always forget the name of because they only show up in these weirdo mono blue decks. There is another one that makes it so the creature has defender and can't attack, and that is a relevant difference versus something like Murktide Regent. The versus Murktide Regent, which is a 3/3 base power and toughness, it's still going to have all those +1/+1 counters on it, and it is still able to be a threat. So Unable to Scream is not necessarily an answer to every single creature that you're going to see. That's worth keeping in mind. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into a match here. Folks, if you need some cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAmagic.com. Promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order. You always get free shipping. If you're in a rush because you put off your order for a little bit too long, you can get expedited shipping as well. And their customer service team is absolutely stellar. Let's battle. Phil from the future here. This league rules. Have faith in this deck. And if you're on a limited time budget, maybe find some time later for more of the rounds. This league is truly something special, but some of the matches get really weird. Enjoy the show. Alrighty. I'm on the play. I have an Aether Vial hand with a couple of wizards and a brainstorm. I guess let's try to keep it. I think brainstorm's gonna be bad in this deck. Again, the fetch land count is pretty light. Without the second land, Tamiyo gets a lot worse. I guess I shouldn't F6 my opponent's turn while playing a blue deck. We've got a surveil land from our opponent. We could be looking at something like a Sneak and Show deck here. Could be looking at a Grixis control deck. Could be looking at a blue-red Delver deck. Lots of possibilities here. Let's try to hit that next land drop. I do. The next turn I potentially just want to brainstorm plus Tamiyo. Oh shit, I could do that now. Maybe I do that now. No, I can't do that now. Let's Vial now. I can bury this and maybe hide that. Yeah, so Tamiyo is specifically your third card in a turn. Exactly your third card. So I am going to have a Vial at 1 and a Vial at 2, and then a Vial at 3 and a Vial at 2. We're also at the lower end of acceptable for Aether Vial, by the way. 23 is normally the number where I'm like, if I go below this, Aether Vial starts to feel sketchy. I'm going to wait on Tamiyo so that I can guaranteed brainstorm here. That may be me being a coward. Yeah, maybe that was me being a coward. I hope we're not playing against combo here. I'm gonna play this kind of safely and hope that we're playing against a fair deck. We've got the fetch. Basic land. Fuck. I have some interaction versus this. And I have 2 vials to do it. Hope it's not Omniscience. Or I could brainstorm looking for the Force of Will to attempt to stop this and hold this stuff. If this resolves, I can still put in one of these. Yes, let's do that. Put in Tamiyo. Cast Brainstorm. Found Plagon again. I'll put it on top of my deck. Transform Tamiyo. So now I let this resolve. I put in Sidisi's Faithful. Fuck, it's Omniscience. This is target creature. This is target creature. F. Yeah, maybe I have to wait until the creature comes into play. Now that this didn't happen, do I need to bounce this back to my hand? Feels weird. I don't think I'm going to do that. It just doesn't matter if I get Emrakuled. Opponent says exploit. I only started playing Magic a year and a half ago. Yeah, that's fair. All right. My opponent can hit a Stock Up and another Atraxa to keep going deeper in their deck. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. Activate. Yes. Sinister Concierge. We're getting fucking weird. I want to sacrifice this one. Discard this one. So now I know my opponent has another Atraxa. I'm going to do this one. Now that's at least out of the way in the short term. Again, these have time counters on them, so they will come back. Ah, shit. Okay. All right. Well, we took some game actions. Very, very strange. Force of Negation is fine. It's kind of my big one to hear. There is Unable to Scream. I don't know that that's actually good enough. So it feels kind of like I need Patron Wizard as my soft win. And so I probably need Force of Will or Force of Negation to get me there. And I kind of need these awkwardly. Guess that means I'm going down some on these. I don't have a sexy Surveil land, But I've got a couple of counter spells, and that probably means that this is just instantly a keep. Kinda have to believe in the deck, though. We don't have too much for card advantage. It's not like I just have the one ring at the end of my curve to just bury my opponent in Wizards come the end of the game. I'm reliant on Plagon, which is a absolutely fine source of card draw. That's going to resolve, but it does get better if I have more Wizards, and I don't have Wizards right now. There's a Wizard. 100% willing to just trade land for land here. Excellent. Another Lotus Petal is fine. Ancient Tomb is in theory fine. I can do an okay job of fighting over spells. And we have drawn the Patron. Note this isn't a legend, so I can just play multiple of these. I am going to let that go. Got Valk, but that's not a fetch. So if my opponent needed something that they currently don't have, they maybe didn't find it. Oh shit. I think I need to get my own game plan going. Like, as much as I want to have 3 full-on counterspells available, I think if I am not casting my own wizards, I am not working towards my end game. This is probably worse than just having the 3rd pitch counter available in the short term, but probably better as this game drags on. Yeah, there's some problems like that. And mana doesn't seem to be the bottleneck here. So we will play the next Patron Wizard. I'm not going to play that as a land. So now I have 2 pitch counters plus a Spell Pierce available. And I think I'm holding that Spell Pierce rather than attacking. The dream now is draw Plagon, draw 3. Oh no, these aren't big butts. That's so disappointing. I mean, who am I to not attempt to win the game? If this resolves, I have Cavern into Oracle. So my opponent has to fight over this. I love this pause. This is the pause of someone who maybe doesn't understand what exactly is going on, but they know it's bad. I am willing to fight once. That's all, though. Good? Oh, we're good. And that means I play this as the land, A the life, uncounterable Thassa's Oracle with 8 devotion. We did it! I'm so upset right now. Ugh. Yikes. Okay. Was not expecting that one. Now I could just full on die. Oh shit, my library is just bad cards now, right? It's like triple land. I messed up. I needed to attack with the Patron Wizards to maybe clock my opponent. Yeah, I'm dead. I don't get a second attempt here. Fuck. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. Alrighty, opening hand is fine. There's some very clear anti-synergy. If I don't want to get wastelanded, then I need to play Vial off Basic Island. But when I do that, then I don't have Brainstorm plus Fetch Land available. So I open myself up to being wastelanded on turn 1 if I don't play in this way, but it makes my Brainstorm worse. So there's that. An Otawara. See if we find something to do here. Well, I found a fetch land, so I can fetch away a bunch of this. Next turn, I'm just going to draw a bunch of cards, like play Plagon, Vial, and Thassa's Oracle. I'm going to throw back 2 of the lands, just kind of assuming that I'll find more. I don't have, excuse me, I don't have very much real removal in this deck. So when my opponent plays creatures, they are likely to stick. Yeah, I agree with no attack there. They don't know what sort of nonsense I'm cooking with. We'll get that basic. So Vial up to 2. Is there any timeline where I want to Patron Wizard instead of Plagon? Yeah, I could see that. El Patron. In play, that doesn't mean a lot. You dare? You dare attempt to counter my spell? Cool. So we will now counter that spell by tapping Thassa's Oracle. No! 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 Why do bad things happen to good people? Riddle me that. I'm gonna put a Patron on top. Sort of frustratingly, because Wasteland is in our mana base, we don't have quadruple blue next turn for Tamiyo. Plus Patron. I guess I can Vial in Patron. That makes Plagon counterable. 4 mana. Okay, so that's just a Phyrexian Dragon Engine. That's not a problem yet, but boy, is that going to be a problem in a minute. So, I think I'm doing this, then this. Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him. Then this. Yes, the Patron. Target Pyroblast. Counter by tapping Tamiyo. These are some wild games of Magic. I don't know whether or not what we're doing is actually good. Okay, I've already played a land. But we are certainly taking legal game actions that are doing things and making stuff weird. There are some neat moving parts here. All right, cool. So with Tamiyo plussing, that is a 1/1, which doesn't get through my big booty creatures. Let's assume that Hydroblast is good. Let's assume that Consign is meaningful. And then we start getting into the secondary set of cards where it's like, okay, how many of these things are actually relevant? I don't know that the Unable to Scream cards end up being good enough. If memory serves, and I'll double check if I board it in, but I also believe that Painter's color changing stuff still works through Unable to Screams, removing all of the abilities. Layers. There's also technically this for Urza Saga, but weird. I don't know how many things I get to board out when playing this deck, because as I already talked about, 23 is super, super light for an Aether Vial deck. I think I'm going to be pretty comfortable doing this in a lot of matchups, but as soon as I start pulling wizards, like stuff like this and this are going to get worse. So I think we're going light touch on sideboarding. This does not seem like it wins the game. This is pretty reasonable. I will just put back the small booty Sinister Concierge, and we get to curve Tamiyo into Thassa's Oracle into Plagon. We've got Basic Mountain, Lotus Petal, and passing the turn. My opponent's single mana red removal spells are pretty darn good against me. I am going to still play out Tamiyo. Like, if Tamiyo does the Tamiyo thing, it's cool. I don't really know that my opponent Pyroblasts a Sidici's Familiar if I play it out, so I don't really think I can use that as successful bait. New Mountain. Excuse me, I am a little froggy this morning. Nuke the Tamiyo. Nuke the Tamiyo from graveyard and immediately cycle that card. That is all fine. With no brainstorm in the deck, I can just play this and get another basic, hedging against Blood Moon effects. And I guess technically Wasteland effects as well. I think I'm just going to play Sidici's Familiar awkwardly. It is like very much not mana efficient, but I can still draw Paradigm Shift and have an access towards a combo win. The devotion count is definitely relevant in this matchup, though. Like, my opponent has so much interaction. Oh yeah, that's fine. Oops, all Plagons. I mean, we're going to start throwing these at my opponent until they do something. It is very possible that my opponent gets to Force of Will this with either Lotus Petal Lightning Bolt or Lotus Petal Blast. Yeah, okay, so they get a Lightning Bolt. So they deny me one card at the cost of 2 of their cards, which is fine. Like, this as a 2/2 double striker is not something that I am overly worried about. Like, as soon as I can flip a Tamiyo, we are good against that. Yes. I hope my opponent doesn't name Plagon. Fuck. Why is my opponent good? Okay, now that is officially scary. Just 3 more. 3 more. I'm gonna Tamiyo. Have to do this? Might have to do this. End of turn, sink into Stupor, into Plagon. Is not crazy. The more my opponent leaves up Welder, the sketchier everything that I do to try to interact with this is. I think I'm going to pick up the Sink into Stupor. I think I'm going to continue to take 4 from this rather than throw away my bodies. We'll talk once my life total's a little lower. Yup. I'm going to go to combat. We're going to see if my opponent has something for Tamiyo immediately. They don't. I'll acquire a clue, which is probably not going to do anything relevant this game. Like, I am just looking to flip this off of Plagon. Now, I need some things to go right for me. I need my opponent to spend mana on their turn so that they can't immediately just Disruptor Flute again. And again, I will keep taking the hits here. I am at a 6. Please tap mana. Yes! Grindstone on themselves. Okay. This might be my moment for this. My opponent can't turn it into something very good right now. Alright, resolves. Alright, nothing scary there. On a slightly longer timescale, Welder, Phyrexian Dragon Engine is something we'll have to worry about. So we will go to Punchies. We will Punchies. Take that 0 damage. Then I will do this. A Lotus Petal plus a Blast could do some things. Otherwise, I draw a bunch of cards. I flip Tamiyo. Tamiyo pluses, making these cards much less threatening in combat. And then I will get an Aether Vial going. Alright, I've got Force of Will for some of the scariest stuff that can happen. Yeah, but my opponent can start welding the Dragon Engine in and out. I can, in theory, just try to 2-turn clock my opponent, though. I don't know if it will be correct to do that, but I can just attack for 10. Countering that is awkward. It just comes back with Welder. I guess if that comes back with Welder, Dragon Engine isn't coming back. Force of Will and pitch a Tamiyo. The opponent is going to draw 3 cards in response to that, looking for a Pyroblast. They have exiled a Spirit Guide in response to that trigger to float a mana. Alright, so I'm going to get at least a turn worth of activating these abilities. New land drop, and opponent is passing the turn. Pile goes up. That is not what I'm looking to draw. I might Tamiyo minus to put a Force of Will in my hand, and then just draw a bunch of cards. I don't know, I can just draw with clues. Draw with a clue here. Ooh. I'm going to Tamiyo plus, and then exploit the Goblin Welder. I think for devotion-based reasons, I'm going to play this out. I'm looking for a paradigm shift to just kind of win the game. Ooh, we are getting a response. A braid on that. That's okay. No paradigm shift, but I did find some reasonable cards. I'm just going to take Force of Will. Oh, I'm not drawing it immediately. Get that next turn. I don't have the ability to crack this clue. Let's assume that this is fine with Plagon available. I'm going to put in Sidisi's Faithful, exploit this, bounce the Welder out of play, and call it a turn. Tamiyo has plussed, so this does not get through Sidisi's Faithful. There's the Welder coming back down off a Great Furnace. Yeah, so this is a 1-2. I could double block that, and that's like perfectly fine here. I don't care if that goes to graveyard because I'm going to take the Goblin Welder out of play anyway. I will go ahead and send this up to 2. I will Tamiyo and plus. Tamiyo is at 8. So I think I'm just going to go Ya, Wasteland, just confirm. I've not played a land. I'll put a Wasteland on top. Now I will Plagon, trigger, draw a Gajillion, make my land drop, play Sidisi's Faithful, exploit Sidisi's Faithful, bounce Goblin Welder out of play, Wasteland, Great Furnace. Opponent says, fuck, my deck just does not do anything today. They can still, like, have Painter plus land and do something disgusting, right? Like, it is still possible for me to lose this game. There's land drop, there's 5, there's Phyrexian Dragon Engine. My opponent can get some cards, but again, this is a 1-1. attacking, and my opponent has made their land drop already. Wizards! We've got a win on the board. This is proof of concept. GG's. All right. Opening hand has a Tamiyo into a Plagon later on. I don't have counter spells available immediately if that's what I'm going to need. The last time I played against Spire of Industry, it ended up being a Storm deck. So now I need to ask myself, do I want one draw at a counter spell right now, or do I want to set up to make this more reasonable? I think I want to set up so that my deck can play its game. I don't have Force of Negations in the main or anything, so it's literally just 4 out of 50 to hit. Would not have hit. I'm going to take Cavern. Saga ticks up. More Saga. And we're just chilling. So I'm going to go to Punchies. This is a 1-1, then 2-2, then at least 3-3. I'll attack with both, I guess. Opponent takes the 1. Cavern on Wizard. Play Plagon. Draw 3. Flip Tamiyo. Tamiyo plus. This is turn 3, so I've made my land drop. Don't have Force of Will here, though. And Force of Will does not interact with me getting beaten to death by construct tokens. Tamiyo helps a little bit. But I still don't know whether or not, like, this Urza Saga is going to be getting something along the lines of LED or something along the lines of Lava Spur Boots. I can handle the construct tokens if we are playing fair. Yeah, so I guess Sinister Concierge into Sidisi's Faithful just covers both of the construct tokens. I guess there is, in theory, a third one coming. It is Mox Opal, and still a little unclear where we're at on the fair versus unfair spectrum. Never mind. Message received. We've got Lotus Petal now. Are we storming off after dumping mana into Urza Saga, or is this just I need to kill Tamiyo? Seems like this is just I need to kill Tamiyo. So this is a 5. So on my turn, 3 of my mana answers both of these. Do I want this or this? I think I want my Plagon, because that is going to let me turn the corner on the game very quickly. Oh, that's a good pull. This is worth a couple life. Yes. So, Concierge, uncounterable, Sidisi's Faithful, exploit that. We'll bounce the untapped one. We'll exile the tapped one. And I think I am going to go ahead and throw down Tamiyo. Attack for 1. I've got Force of Will for a relevant spell. And then hopefully I just play Patron Wizard and effectively win the game. Like, I have another Sidisi's Faithful to answer this token. Andy Trail. So this is a Scry 2, and my opponent can gain some life with it in a little while. Basic Swamp. And passing the turn, I'll take a Suspend counter off my creature. That's great. Patron plus Sidisi. Yeah, okay. That'll still leave a Force of Will available. So exploit this. Bounce that token. Play the Wizard. Go to combat. Attack with that. I think the 1 is fine. And then I just kind of decide how much I want to hit for each turn. Yeah, you can have a Chrome Mox. A Wishclaw Talisman. 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana, 5 mana available. So let's start draining that mana. Aid. Again. Dark Ritual. I'll respond. Patron Wizard. Target Dark Ritual. Tap Plagon. The opponent's going to pay for that. Patron Wizard. Target Dark Ritual. Tap this. Opponent can crack LED. So I think I will let this stuff resolve, and then I'll Force a Will when the stack is clear. Well, not like my opponent has green mana available for any sort of Veil of Summer nonsense. I guess if I'm going to do it, I can just do it now. No, I'll make them pay. Force of Will, pitching Brainstorm, and opponent concedes. They've technically got another draw there. They can draw and try to hit another Wishclaw and try to stick that while I'm shields down, but I think once this untaps and I have Force of Will plus available, it's just gross. Okay, so Force of Negation is a must, and we would like to sideboard lightly. Again, every time I take creatures out of the deck, I get worse at doing Plagon and Patron Wizard things, both of which are important. So I think I'm looking at like Brainstorms and Vials as things that are cuttable. I'm going to drag both up. I'm not sideboarding out both, I don't think. This Sidici's Faithful and Sinister Concierge stuff is like not important until it is the most important thing. I maybe don't need paradigm shifts. Like, I could just fully be on the, like, Plagon kill you in 2 combat steps plan. Having a no shit button to just eject and win the matchup instantly after drawing a bunch of cards is nice, though. Let's do some stuff versus Gaia's Will. This is, like, fine on LEDs and fine on Storm Triggers. I think we'll do that. I don't think Harbinger does enough and is slow. Kind of feel like I need these to deploy bonus cards, but maybe I shave. Or I could shave a couple of these. 21 is a little light, but maybe that's fine, maybe. I am unsure here. This is a Force of Will and a Consign and a Tamiyo. This is totally fine. Basic Swamp and a Duress. So I will probably lose Force of Will here. I do. Now I'll have to decide whether or not I'm willing to play Tamiyo out on turn 1, dropping Consign. I don't have anything to do on turn 2 right now. Just gonna hold up Consign. Make my opponent respect it. There's a Vault of Whispers. Rough. Now I am presumably losing Consign, and I don't get a Tamiyo clue next turn because I didn't play Tamiyo. Oh, they're going for the Patron Wizard. There is fear of the endgame here. I'm going to let that resolve. That doesn't feel good enough. All right, cool. Yaw. And yaw. Push is happening. The opponent has an interactive hand. That means they don't have all that many cards actually going towards a win. Sure. So this makes the Gaia's Will lines not good. They'll have Consign available. That I will counter. Get Consigned. Was bait. It is Infernal Tutor. You have Naws? You do have Naws. So the Naws was resolving either way, and with Duress available, that probably beats my stuff. Opponent's at 5, opponent's at 3. So the Gaia's Will stuff isn't online, but presumably Natural Storm kills me from here. Sure. Another LED. Yeah, Storm is already 8. So if I don't counter the LED, my opponent does all of this with 3 more mana floating, and it's very easy to duress the card out of my hand. It's just Beseech Tendrils, and I'm dead. Opponent duresses, just to make sure. Alright, we're going to go the Burning Wish route instead. And there's the Tendrils. GG. I think I am okay with this. So I have a piece of interaction on turn 1. But it doesn't stop the Natural Storm lines. I don't have any real blue mana for if I draw some of my counterspells. I think this is pretty medium. Oh gosh. The upside of this hand is that opposing discard doesn't do anything. I am good versus Saga. I am bad versus fetch basic Swamp in the dark. Am I on 6 willing to say, like, I beat the Urza Saga hands and the graveyard-based hands and lose to everything else? Maybe? Like, this is the only thing that really, really, really boosts, like, hard boosts me at a fast rate. This hard boosts me at a slow rate. This is sketch. I think I'm going to very reluctantly keep this one. And I mean very, very reluctantly keep this one. So there's Vault. There is Virtual Card Advantage by blanking discard spells ahead of time, and I get to Wasteland this and take my opponent off of some mana. Hopefully rip a Tamiyo off the top. Holy shit. Alright, I am goated with the sauce today, apparently. And stick Tamiyo. Never didn't have it. Wasn't worried for a moment. Alright, so that's a basic Swamp. Don't get to Wasteland that one. Oh, are you just going now? Or is this just play out something like a Wishclaw for later? Yes. The second cage is probably worse than just drawing a card with Cavern of Souls or Flooded Strand. Throw down Cavern. But I don't need to draw this card and open up discard on whatever this card is. Opponent is making moves. The Ball Ritual. Dark Ritual. This is just going to be Naws again with 5 mana available. I don't believe there's anything that I draw here that is relevant because I don't have a blue card to pair with Force of Will. Don't have mana for that. All right. So unless this is just an absolutely terrible pile of cards, my opponent should handily win here. They are at 3. 1 mana. There's 2 mana. They're not at the point where they can use the LEDs. A Dark Ritual type card gets them there. That's not doing it. That's not doing it. They have stopped. They can just like go land Fatal Push or whatever and not be in a super threatened position. Oh wait, is there an Infernal Tutor based kill? Yeah, there is, right? Just Infernal Tutor. Storm is 8. 6 mana. Infernal Tutor for Tendrils. Yeah, that was deterministic a while ago. Oh, we're getting red mana instead. Or Burning Wish for Tendrils. Yeah, why did they flip more then? This was deterministic a while ago. Alright. GG's. Alright. Opening hand has Paradigm Shift and Thassa's Oracle, but not the blue mana to go with it. Like, I need blue in order to cast this. This is an example of the Flex Slot Wasteland being rough. So, I hit sometimes, I find Vials sometimes. I think I'm going to keep the hand with the A plus B combo. It's just, like, very awkward. I'm going to play Wasteland on 1, so I don't get Wastelanded off of my blue mana immediately. And this also doesn't telegraph. Well, I guess Otawara doesn't really telegraph what I am either. The opponent is a blue deck, so this stuff is not guaranteed to happen. We've got a Ponder. I've drawn Force of Will. This doesn't contribute towards Patron Wizard. I think I am not casting this. I think this game is about drawing the next blue land, preferably it being Cavern of Souls, and then having double Force of Will to back this combo up. I mean, that's the land. I think we're doing the thing. Oh fuck, I have literal 0 cards in there. I can Wasteland something. So there's Bargain. I think I am Force of Willing. That puts 1 card into my graveyard to draw for turn. That seems okay. Then Force of Will goes to top of deck. A lot of things beat me. A Wasteland beats me. A discard spell doesn't beat me. A discard spell backed by something else does. Got Underground Sea. I don't fight over Entomb. That's a Traxa. I don't need that. This is really awkward. If I don't fight over this, there's a very good chance that this produces a counter spell. If I fight over this and my opponent has something in hand already, I get got. I guess I let it resolve. It can't get more than 1 counter spell, right? But it can find things like Wasteland. Okay, I think that's the deal breaker. Is it could get like Counterspell plus Wasteland. And then I lose to that. I draw my last card, and we see if my opponent has another piece of interaction. Oh shit. We win. That was nice. So I'll probably bring in about 4 pieces of Graveyard Heat here. I think I am respecting the combo. Well, I think largely expecting to win the game with like Plagons and Tamios rather than my own combo. I think I want this as an emergency out button. I don't think it is the expected win condition though. And again, I think I am going very light touch on sideboarding while playing this deck. Well, willing to try it. I probably have to Force of Will to protect an Aether Vial if it gets dazed, though. Yes. We're just gonna always yield to that. Cavern on Wizard. Play Vial. And pass turn. The Carpet of Flowers tech is weird. I'm not saying it's bad. This is like, I am clearly trying to adapt for... Oh. Wild. Or just bug beans with reanimator stuff. I don't like that Entomb is legal in the format, folks. I'm not gonna lie to you. Do I need this land? Because, like, I'm already effectively denying mana with Carpet. This takes my opponent off of 2 colors simultaneously. I think I'm into it. Goodbye, Bayou. Oh, yeah. So now as long as I avoid playing Island, my opponent gets nothing off Carpet of Flowers and have been cut off 2 colors. Fantastic. We just work towards, like, Plagon and Patron Wizard off of Vile. Surgical looks fucking weird now, that's for sure. Let's investigate and then pass the turn. So on the off chance that there's any sort of stifle effects in my opponent's deck, I am just going to top that. This goes up. Grafdigger's Cage is kind of whatever. I'll play it, obviously, but it's not overly impressive. The Cavernous Souls Plagon situation is a little weird. Sure. I think I am into Plagon. No, that's not true. I want to turn this into the Planeswalker. So yes, I'm going to use this ability. I'll put Patron Wizard into play. I say always no to this Vial now. Always yield. We did it! That's a 2-0 there. Yeah, so on this turn, I get my 3rd clue. I then Plagon. I draw 3. Tamiyo is a Planeswalker. I have Counterspell on a stick available. Yeah, opponent kept a hand where Carpet was very, very good in theory, because I do play a lot of basic islands, but it did not pan out. GG's. This opening hand doesn't do anything, but I don't really know if it's bad. I have double Force of Will for unfair things that happen at the beginning of the game, and Plagon and Tamiyo type draws are pretty darn good. Like, assuming I get an Aether Vial ticked up, and I draw one of those cards, or I find an Oracle. Like, I think there is a lot of ways for this, yeah, see? Hand to become keepable very easily. I am going to deploy the Vial here over Tamiyo. I think having the extra blue cards in hand in the short term until I know exactly what my opponent is doing is valuable. Nice. I mean, honestly, just very, very good. We're not going to cast Paradigm Shift right now, though. Hope you'll forgive me for that. Got the end of turn fetch. Are you in Tomb? No, it is a basic island. Am I fine fighting over the Dreadnoughts? Yeah, I think so. Because sometimes my opponent doesn't have the Dreadnoughts and they are just cycling that. Alright, so there it is. We'll Force of Will, pitching a Paradigm Shift. You can Brainstorm in response, that's fine. In case you're not familiar with the interaction, my opponent shuts off all the abilities of creatures temporarily, so that Phyrexian Dreadnought's triggered ability does not require it to be sacrificed. There's a Force of Will pitching a Ponder. We'll fight back one more time. I think pitching Patron Wizard. So I'll go to 17, then we'll clear the stack, and we'll have Tamiyo. We've got a fetch. It's rough if there is yet another Dreadnought as follow-up. It is a Tamiyo. I have my own Tamiyo. So dress down, get sacrificed. Then I do this. Say yes. There's Tamiyo. File goes up. Patron Wizard. Go to Punchies. Punchies. I'm going to go ahead and just draw immediately. Yeah, I mean, that's fine in setting me up for these other cards. Opponent will be able to flip their Tamiyo. And then hopefully I just, like, Plagon and kill their Tamiyo. Plagon is as if, right? Yeah, so the minus to power specifically is not relevant. Yes. And if I was the opponent, I would not fucking be expecting to potentially lose Tamiyo here. I am just going to hit Tamiyo in the face for 6. Assuming I can find a land with Thassa's Oracle. Oh, I guess I am not, because I'm going to transform this, right? Awkward. It's still probably fine to 2-turn it. Still probably fine to 2-turn it. Yes. Thassa's Oracle. I could just say no to all of these. So I want 1 blue mana, make Thassa's Oracle, hit Tamiyo for 3. I think I can do better than this stuff. It's Aether Vial. I'll probably end up casting. Out of Spite. Send at Tamiyo. Investigate. No blocks. Activate. Oh? I am upset. I want to force a will this, I guess. But boy, this makes the remainder of this turn awkward. And now Plagon entering doesn't do me any good, so I'll put Patron Wizard in play instead. I will Cavern of Souls on Wizard and get this going. Then hopefully next turn, I just Violin Plagon, end up with 2 blue mana, and I can actually hit Tamiyo for 6. I can't counter that. I can make my opponent tap out, though. Still obviously very good. So these 3 toughness things now are not getting through the Null Drifter, and I don't get this second wave of cards. That's not great either. Oh, on Wasteland rather than Cavern. Interesting. So this file is at 3. That stays. Say yes. It's really frustrating that this doesn't contribute to my mana count here. I think I'm just passing the turn. I think between the Annihilator, the Tamiyo going up, and the threat of 12/12s coming down, I have now lost. Like, Tamiyo is in ultimate range already. Oh, sure. Wasteland? I think I'll do Wasteland. This is a 0/3. I can block that. I mean, I will make you pay the tax, and we'll do that 3 times. Then with Tamiyo, opponent taps out. Then, yes, we will do it the final time with Plagon, and we have successfully countered that spell. All right, so yeah, I can hit for 6. So let's send with 1 and 2. Get the clue. After no blocks. Hit with toughness. Hit with toughness. Tamiyo takes 6, and I have a Spell Pierce available. We're trying. We're trying. And the clue token can offset Annihilator 1 without me actually losing any ground. My mana is tied up in these Plagon activations anyway. I'll take 5. Opponent fetches. Opponent's got Tundra. Opponent's got clues available. I mean, like, I am going to try to counter that. It's not going to work, but I'm going to try. This at least results in my opponent tapping out. So my stuff doesn't get removed with Swords to Plowshares or whatever. That is a land drop. I can send a bunch of stuff into Tamiyo. There is still the problem of not dying to Null Drifters. I could hold Tamiyo back as a flyer, lose either Plagon or Patron Wizard to the attack, hit in with 4, take 5, go to 3. Okay. Send it. Send it. Send it. Tamiyo triggers. I don't know which of those my opponent is supposed to block. I'm guessing it's the Plagon, but that is somewhat dependent on what's actually in their hand. I don't really know how I'm beating the Annihilator 2 now, though. I don't know, maybe the first turn where I viled in the Plagon, if I just don't crack the clue attempting to counter the Thrall and I hit Tamiyo for 3, maybe at some point I take Tamiyo out, but I still feel like I'm losing to this stuff. Okay, opponent had someone at the door. They had to go address that, so we'll do that. So this is going to kill Tamiyo. So now I have 4 at Tamiyo. I lose Plagon. I'm going to play this land with the intention of probably sacrificing it to Annihilator 1 triggers. So Flooded Strand goes for sure. And I think I'm getting rid of bodies. I have to block one of these. I don't know what I'm playing towards anymore. I don't think anything without Plagon here. One has a new Tamiyo. A new Tamiyo Planeswalker. Yeah. I'm gonna pack it in there. Gonna respect opponent's clock a little bit and cut them some slack for having someone at their door. This is a fine, efficient answer to a Dreadnought. And it also shuts off the abilities of things like the Doorkeeper Thrall. The fact that, like, the main way I win and the main way I get card advantage are incidentally shut off by my opponent's deck is a rough combo. Let's do Consigns for Dreadnoughts as well. And Null Drifters are also colorless. I think I'm going to do what I did every round and just board out the Brainstorm. I don't know, maybe Paradigm Shift is just so incredibly risky. It's very risky into open mana. Like, is Brainstorm 4 flipping Tamiyo better than the emergency exit button? Unsure. I think on the play, I'm going to keep the Paradigm Shifts, and if we go to a game 3 and I'm on the draw, I'll Brainstorm, I think. Sure. All right, opponent thought about it for a minute and then kept their 7-card hand. I'm going to deploy a Vial. The Faithful is not all that bad here, right? Like, if a Dreadnought sneaks into play, this is just a bullet. Get it out. Sure. Vial goes up. Yeah, I mean, what if you did lose all your abilities? Wait. Ponder's fine. And then hopefully I win the Tamiyo war here. And start drawing a bunch of cards with clues. I'll have the mana to sink into it. There'll just be some question of, like, when am I cracking the clues? Like, am I trying to save up 2 clues for the Planeswalker mode? I'm going to tick this up because hitting Plagon and Patron Wizard is very important, despite the fact that, like, having this available uncounterably is interesting. Or multiple of them uncounterably. And I don't think I'm going to crack this immediately. I think I'll just pass the turn. Next land drop. Opponent is just passing. I think I'll just crack my clue then. Yeah. New Tamiyo. I'm just going to activate this, see if it makes him flinch. My opponent straight up can be running Stifle in their deck. It's that jerk. That's not colorless, so that is resolving. So now, I think I am going to move that up to 3 because of how good it is to naturally hit one of those cards. Bouncing the flash creature out of play is not the most productive. I'm going to get my clue. I think I will draw immediately. The Patron. I'm going to go ahead and Cavern on Wizard. And I'm going to do one of these uncounterably. The whole exploit thing is shut off here. But this is just Secret Force Spike. And I think I'm going to leave up Consign for a Dreadnought or whatever. Hey, it's a Dreadnought or whatever. That's a Stifle. I'm going to go ahead and activate this. Say yes. Put in Patron Wizard. Counter that Stifle. Unless you pay 1. Which opponent honestly might not do. I can just let this land go and then 100% counter this Phyrexian Dreadnought. If I counter Stifle and my opponent has a counter spell, they can counter Consign, whereas they can't counter this. So let's just go after the Dreadnought here and let my opponent trade with my land. Take no risks. I will have Consign for the next one. Well, they're just part of a combo. There's an uncounterable Wizard, and I'm just going to make it hard for my opponent to cast spells. I don't think I need to attack with Patron Wizard. Land drop from my opponent. This is a weird game of Magic the Gathering. And now the 1/2 does not get through Tamiyo here. So the attacks aren't profitable. I'm not even taking 1 per turn cycle. And because Stifle exists, we will be Stifle checking my opponent. They don't bite. That's a new Vial, which I'll cast. Doesn't do much, but I'll cast it. That's a Swords, which I'm fine countering. It means my opponent can do something on their turn. Hopefully Consign addresses that. Yeah. 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 My opponent can now push 1 damage. What would Paradigm Shift have been if I boarded it out? Brainstorm, right? Yes. I could, in theory, have a flipped Tamiyo. Prismatic Ending for the Vial on 3. I'll tap it to see if my opponent responds. They are responding. It'll flip their Tamiyo. Oh. Damn, it feels good to be an Aether Vial gamer sometimes. So we got my opponent to throw away a Tamiyo and a Swords to Plowshares, and the result was it got rid of an Aether Vial on 3 that wasn't actually doing anything, which is all very hilarious to me. Opponent is fighting the good fight over there. Oh, that's great. Yeah, we'll chill. I don't want to win on timeout, since my opponent had to step away for valid real-life reasons, but that might be a win condition that I am working towards. We'll continue to do Vial checks, because I believe it is tactically important to do so that my opponent doesn't know when, like, oh, you actually have the thing now. I getting rid of this Tundra? Abso-fucking-lutely with Patron Wizard around. But I'll do it in their turn. So that shuts off this ability. So for that reason alone, this will be worth countering. 2 and 3. Now that this is tapped, I will take this out before my opponent untaps. Alright, we're chilling. I wonder if opponent needed to wait until they actually had something good to do to cast that dress down. I will be ticking this up to 3. Nice. That lets me go aggro. I'm in, but I don't want to tap out of Consign, so I will just attack for 4. Plagon, send in. Our opponent's just going to block with the Tamiyo. That's fine. I'll take out that body. I have 4 Force Spikes and Consign to Memory. Yeah. Tap a friend. The spirit is broken. Oh, opponent wants to attempt Brainstorm? No. We say no to spells here. The Patron. Opponent has 1 card remaining. So, let's work on countering the original spell here. Opponent can fetch and pay, and then I counter this, and then I will attack the trigger. Alright, so they don't. So then I will replicate Consign on this trigger, replicating once, paying 2 mana to do so. Opponent says, GG's, I like your deck, but it's annoying. And they're just going to scoop it up there. They can't win the match in the time that they have remaining. This was fun. GG's. All right. Overall thoughts on the deck list. This is a weird one, and I think I misunderstood it when I recorded the deck tech. So when I looked at the deck tech, I thought, like, this is the way that I win the game. And I don't think that's true. I think Plagon is the way that you win the game with this deck. I think this is a Plagon deck, not a Paradigm Shift deck. Because this either buries your opponent in cards or allows your, like, objectively bad cards to swing in for, like, 10 2 turns in a row. And the soft lock of Patron Wizard actually did a surprising amount, like much more than I was expecting. This deck has some legs. I think this is a great, like, Friday Night Magic deck. I think this is somewhat competitive. I wonder if the deck needs these cards or if there's, like, other wizardy things you can be doing instead. Brian, aka Bosch and Roll, has said, like, whenever someone plays a fair Plagon like deck, that he just doesn't beat it. Like, you can just throw Nadu into this deck and some other things at the bottom of the curve, and, like, maybe that improves the deck. Thassa's Oracle providing a little bit of selection was relevant, but I'm sure there's other wizards that just draw a card while fitting the my booty is bigger than my power thing. I'm gonna give this one straight up a thumbs up. I don't think the deck is perfect. I am really unsure whether or not I like Wasteland. I will say, like, the Wasteland seriously did some things, like, in the last match there versus, like, I have the online Patron Wizard soft lock, eliminating a Tundra to keep the Force Spikes real. Like, that matters. Having more game versus Urza's Saga matters. But I think there is legitimately something to this. Is this going to beat out, like, hyper consistent things like Blue-Black Reanimator? No, probably not. But this deck is sweet, and get in there, get in some leagues, and play this. Alright, folks, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. If you need your Patron Wizards, you know where to go. See ya!